Hello everyone, take a shot of your favorite bourbon, light your fires. We're smoking Smithfield St. Louis cut ribs today on the Gateway Drum Smoker, and I'm your crazy pit master. Okay everybody, right now we're going to season these ribs, and what I'm going to show you what I'm seasoning with may not be what you like. The important part about learning how to cook ribs is technique, not the rubs. It's that way for just most of barbecue. What we're showing you is what we use. I use right now Simply Marvelous pecan rub on my pork products in competitions. It works in competition. The important thing, when you're cooking for yourself, use something you like. If you're serving your friends, free barbecue is kind of like a huge magnet. Everybody's going to come over. People will generally like what you're serving unless you get way out there on the heat or something like that. But there are literally hundreds of good flavor options out there. So pick what you like. Even if it's just salt and pepper, do it that way. I love this pecan rub. This was suggested to me by Sterling Ball from Big Papa Smokers. Been using it ever since. It is a really good rub. So start on the bottoms. This pecan rub needs a heavy layer. Some rubs you're going to need a lighter layer. You may want to layer 2, 3 rubs. I've heard of people doing. I used to layer 2 rubs. Right now I'm just using this one. And you may want to coat your ribs. You can coat with mustard. When I was doing low and slow, we did liquid raw sugar on our ribs first and then put the rub on. I've used maple syrup. Maple syrup makes a really great rub, but we're doing hot and fast today. You don't want to add all that much sugar when you're doing hot and fast. You're going to burn your ribs. So a really heavy coat. This is good for the rub makers when you got to put a lot on. I know that looks like a lot. You're going to lose some of it as you flip. You're going to lose some in the smoker, but what you have left is important. I'm not putting anything on anymore beforehand to make the rub stick. It pretty much is going to stick pretty well. Just pat it down. I know there's a lot of people that rub their rub, but the big problem with that is it knocks a lot of it off right away. And you'll see a lot on the cutting board. And do your fronts. I know there's a lot of people that worry, especially in competition, about doing the edges. For me, I've never worried about that. I don't really think we have too many judges biting the edges. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's why I don't do as well as I should. But, you know, I've never found it enough difference in the taste to do it. All right, pat it down. This is going to be our competition style ribs. The other rack here, I'm going to use the QueGasm brisket rub. I've been using it on pork. I like it. I'm not going to use this in competition. We're working on a pork rub right now. Hopefully we'll have that ready for the season start in March. I haven't sent in the money yet, but we're going to be at Barbecue Gives Back in Urbana, Virginia at the end of March. They sent me an email today, kind of reminded me. So, you see, this rub has no sugar. There is a little bit of sugar in this one. I don't have a problem with it burning. My wife prefers a dry rub rib with no sugars in it. When we wrap this one, we won't be using raw sugar and honey like we will on these. He said, nice coat. And same thing, tap that down. We're going to put these in the pans, foil them, and get them in the cooler. And then we're going to hang them in 2.5 hours. I normally go 2-3 hours with the rub on the ribs. Used to do a little longer. The longer you go on the ribs, the more tendency they have to get what I call a hammy taste. They start to get a little bit of cure on them. I don't particularly care for that. And you're also going to notice I don't use brown sugar. If you want to use brown sugar, go ahead. I use raw sugar. I don't like the molasses taste myself. Maybe that's part of being who I am as a pit master. Used to do okay with it. Last year our pork was a little farther down the line in judging than we wanted. I think with our new rubs this year, we're going to come out of that and really get up there. We're doing some interesting things. So foil cover into the cooler, refrigerator, whatever you have, and we'll see you again in just a couple hours. And if I had it, I'd take another shot of bourbon. Thanks. Okay everyone, we're back. The Gateway drum smoker is at 300 degrees right now. It's perfect, ready to go. We've got some smoke rolling. We're going to put the hooks in the ribs. We're going to go down to the second opening on each rib. First one that's going in is the dry rub. Put it in the middle like that. When we hang, I'm going to keep the meaty side, and the rack is crooked. I'm going to keep the meaty side of the rack towards the fire. You don't want to keep the bone side towards the fire, because you're going to find out then that you're going to cook right through, and you're going to have ribs that fall apart too soon in the cooking process. So I said keep them pointed, meat side towards the middle of the drum. So when I take this one, I'm going to hang this one this way, and I'm going to turn the other one the other way. When you do your ribs, you may have more than 4 racks. Just be aware that when you do, you're going to have the ones in the middle. I rotate them a little extra. We're going to come back in 30 minutes, rotate 180 degrees, 1 hour. We're going to take a look. At more than likely at that time we are going to wrap, and that's about it. So we'll be all right. We're back. We've already turned the ribs once. We're about an hour in right now. We're going to check the ribs. Probably wrap. I've almost always wrapped at 1 hour. The drum is consistent enough. We really don't have much trouble. We're going shorter or longer. So we'll pull the first rack out. Actually, sorry. Always forget this the first, and we haven't been doing it a lot. A little bit of sugar. A little bit of honey. A little bit of hot sauce, and the blue bottle, Parquet. You should tell these are not exact measurements. And look at that. Look how beautiful that is. No bones poking through. Meat side down, because these are going to go back in. Meat side down. Keep this shut. A little more raw sugar. Said I'm not a fan of brown sugar. That's what most of the teams are using. And it's the tiger sauce. Those of you who have heard about Johnny Trigg, it's a big thing from Johnny. And a little more honey. I don't go try to go super lot on the honey or the sugar, since we're using the drum. When I was cooking on the pellet smoker, I would go a little bit heavier with both. And just a nice little fold. little more sugar. And the order's not important on these. I know some people think the order you put these on is important. I've never really worried about it. I know some people put an awful lot of parquet on. I've never been super big on it. Same thing. Look how beautiful. And if you look at the back, we don't have any bones poking through. That's because of how we place them on the fire. If you place them the other way on the fire with the bones towards the center, you're going to have problems with bones poking through. Even with these, you'll see a little bit poke through. And how pretty it looks isn't necessary here, because this is all going to melt together into like a sauce. I mean, I've even thought about just mixing this all up and having one mix to throw on, and we may end up doing that for next year. Normally when we do this in competition, we have two people doing this together. Now, for this next one, because we're doing the dry rub rack next, all we're going to do, there's no sugar on this one. Some people are, if you're watching your weight a little, this will cut out some calories. Same thing, another beautiful rack of ribs. Pull the rib rack out. Just a regular grate in. Lid close, because we're trying to keep that heat down. Like I said, normally we try to keep it under 30 seconds. But all the times we're opening the rack here, the smoker here, is going to make it climb up over 300 on us, so I'll be choking it down when I put it back in. Alright, and back on the smoker. Flat and meat side down. You can get 3 right across there. Competition, we do 4 racks and we use 2 smokers. And that's it. We'll be back in 30 minutes to take them out and sauce them up. Thank you. Alright everyone, we're back. Right now we're going to pull the ribs out of the smoker that are in the foil. The 2 competition ribs racks will be getting sauce and then going back in, bone side down. The 1 dry rub rib is just going to go right back in the smoker. So. This is the dry rack, the rub rack. We do have a lot of bone show through here. And we are starting to get some fall apart. They're back on the smoker. Close the lid. As you work with this stuff in the foil, be very careful. The liquid in here is extremely hot. You don't want to be messing around with it. And you notice how close I am to the smoker. When you're working with ribs like this, you're going to get some racks that are going to fall apart on you. So you don't want them to fall on the ground. Believe me, I've done that. It's not fun losing a rack of ribs. There's nothing to save that liquid for, so just put it on the side. Today we're using Sweet Baby Ray's hickory and brown sugar. This is close to what we use in competition. We're showing you close to competition today, not exact. If you want to know the exact competition secrets, we do give a class for that. We basically, you come along with us for our competition. We'll put a link to that, and just send me an email if you're interested. And we have this available at every competition we do every year. So we're just going to put a line down, spread it out. If you need more, do it. So this is close to what we do in competition. I'm not giving away every one of our secrets here today. Look how good these look. When these go back in, they're going to go back in bone side down. Notice it's not a really super thick coat of sauce. Basically, it's more of a glaze than a sauce. There's a lot of flavors working together here between your meat, your rub, and your sauce, the smoke. They all have to work together, and as you play around with your flavors, you're going to find that there's certain things that work better than others. But get what you like. Bone side down. We use the pigtail because tongs can ruin the appearance. When we're working with competition, we don't use tongs. So there you have it. This is going to be approximately another 30 minutes. I tend to watch it the last 10 minutes, make sure we're not getting too dark. But as soon as we get to a really deep golden brown and they'll be coming off, we're not going to have a problem with doneness on these. I've never had a problem with doneness on the drums, but we will check that too just to make sure that we're at where we want to be. And we'll be back. Okay, everybody, we've had another 30 minutes pass. We've been checking the ribs. They're done. We're going to pull these, shut the smoker down, but pull them out. And there you go for the dry rub. Beautiful there. And here we go with the rack for the competition style. And this one we tore a little bit. And the other rack of competition style. And we're going to take these upstairs. We're going to slice them inside where it's a little bit warmer tonight, just because the temperature here on Mystic Island is dropping quite a bit. It's getting real chilly. I want to keep the ribs a little bit warmer, so we'll cut them inside. We'll put some beauty shots on at the end of the video here. And any questions, email me. We'll have an email address down in the description of the video. Send me any questions you have. And if you're interested in coming learn how to do competition barbecue with us next year, drop me a line. Or if you just want to stop by and eat some competition barbecue with us during turn-ins, drop me a line for that. We'll have prices up for both of those here shortly. And plenty of ways for you at home to experience a barbecue competition. Good eating, everyone.